It sits right there in the back of almost every single pantry. A cheap, pungent, sour liquid that the billion-dollar pharmaceutical industry absolutely refuses to tell you about. For decades, people have claimed it is a magical cure, while skeptics dismiss it as just another internet trend driven by the placebo effect. But the brutal truth is, both sides are missing the bigger picture. And worse, 90% of the people who actually use it are drinking it blindly. They take it at the wrong time, or they drink it undiluted, which is literally dissolving the protective enamel on their teeth and silently destroying the delicate tissues of their esophagus for zero biological benefit. But when you use this specific acid correctly, precisely 15 minutes before a heavy meal, it acts as a profoundly powerful biochemical tool. It changes the way your body processes carbohydrates, alters the pH of your digestive tract, and even shifts the genetic expression within your liver. Today, we are not talking about magic potions. We are talking about strict molecular biology. This is the exact timeline of what happens to your blood sugar, your digestion, and your stored body fat when you introduce this highly specific acid into your system. Imagine you are sitting down to eat a large plate of pasta. That food is packed with complex carbohydrates, which are essentially incredibly long, tightly coiled chains of sugar molecules. The moment that food enters your mouth and travels down into your digestive tract, your body releases a highly specialized enzyme called alpha amylase. Think of alpha amylase as a microscopic pair of biological scissors, ruthlessly snipping those long starch chains into pure, simple glucose that rapidly floods your bloodstream. But here is the craziest part. When you drink exactly 1 tablespoon of properly diluted apple cider vinegar just 15 minutes before taking your first bite, a profound biochemical reaction takes place. The main active compound in the vinegar is called acetic acid. When this acid enters your system, it acts almost like a molecular handcuff. It physically binds to those enzymatic scissors and temporarily disables them. In other words, your body suddenly loses the ability to break down all of that incoming starch. Instead of turning into a massive blood sugar spike, a surprisingly large portion of that carbohydrate passes through your physiological barrier completely undigested. It travels through your system acting exactly like dietary fiber. Clinical studies have repeatedly shown that this single intervention can reduce your post-meal glucose spike by up to 30%. That is a pharmaceutical-level effect achieved from a simple grocery store ingredient. But it absolutely does not stop there. Because the most immediate physical sensation you will experience happens deep inside your stomach. And this brings us to the greatest trap of modern medicine. If you suffer from chronic heartburn, acid reflux, or severe bloating, you have probably been told that you have too much stomach acid. You pop an antacid and you hope for some kind of root healing. But the horrifying truth is, biologically speaking, you likely have the exact opposite problem. Your stomach was designed by millions of years of evolution to be an intensely concentrated acid bath. It fundamentally requires a highly acidic pH level ranging between 1 and 3 just to function properly. That is acidic enough to literally dissolve a metal razor blade. If your stomach acid becomes too weak over time, perhaps rising to a pH of 4 or 5, you completely lose the ability to break down dense proteins like meat. The food you just ate simply sits there in the warmth of your internal organs. It rots, it ferments. This unnatural fermentation creates trapped gas, and that gas creates immense upward pressure. Now, sitting right at the top of your stomach, there is a tiny mechanical valve called the lower esophageal sphincter. This valve is entirely pH sensitive. It is programmed to snap tightly shut only when it detects a highly acidic environment. If your stomach acid is weak, the valve never gets the biological signal to close. It just stays loose and open. The gas from your rotting dinner then pushes that weak acid straight up into your unprotected esophagus. That burning agony in your chest is not caused by too much acid. It is caused by too little acid, keeping the door wide open. When you drink apple cider vinegar, you are deliberately introducing a powerful exogenous acid directly into the digestive system. You are immediately lowering the pH back to its optimal gold standard state. The physiological receptors on that esophageal valve instantly detect the sharp drop in pH, and they force the sphincter to clamp violently shut. The heartburn stops in its tracks. The newly acidic environment activates the dormant digestive enzymes. The protein is broken down and the bloating dissipates entirely because the food is no longer fermenting. It is pure mechanical biology. But what about the stubborn fat that never seems to disappear? This brings us to the molecular level, where things get completely fascinating. Inside your body, hidden deep within your cells, is a metabolic pathway known as AMPK. You can think of AMPK as the central fuel gauge of your entire biological machine. When AMPK is forcefully activated, your liver receives a massive biochemical signal that you are desperately low on energy. It literally screams at your genes, telling them to immediately stop storing dietary fat and instead switch directly into aggressive fat-burning mode. This is where apple cider vinegar performs its magic. Extensive studies consistently show that introducing acetic acid strongly activates this dormant AMPK pathway. The moment you ingest it, it travels through your bloodstream straight into the liver, powerfully upregulating the specific genes responsible for intense fat oxidation. This biochemical command resets your body's metabolic state. It is basically the biological equivalent of telling your liver to wake up and burn fuel instead of hoarding it. But the real secret lies in the synergistic effect of the earlier carbohydrate blockade we discussed. Because that acetic acid successfully blunted the massive insulin spike from your meal, your circulating insulin levels crash back down to baseline much faster after you eat. And remember the golden rule of real human physiology. You absolutely cannot burn a single gram of body fat when your blood insulin remains high. By artificially lowering that insulin response, apple cider vinegar keeps your fat-burning window wide open for significantly longer periods throughout the day and into the night. Speaking of the night, we absolutely must address what happens while you sleep. Many people, particularly those struggling with underlying insulin resistance or pre-diabetes, routinely wake up with inexplicably high fasting blood sugar levels, even if they have not touched a piece of food for 8 solid hours. This frustrating biological glitch is widely known as the dawn phenomenon. It happens because your liver spontaneously dumps a massive load of stored glucose directly into your bloodstream while you are completely unconscious, frantically trying to provide you with the energy needed to simply wake up. Taking apple cider vinegar right before bed acts as a powerful brake on this liver response. It fundamentally calms the liver down. Clinical research has documented that consuming exactly 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar right before going to sleep can demonstrably reduce your fasting blood sugar the very next morning by up to 6%. That is a medically significant improvement just from drinking a simple glass of sour water before your head hits the pillow. It is a biological reset button. Now let's look closer at the bottle itself, because there is a massive industry secret being hidden right in front of your eyes. If you buy clear, perfectly filtered, highly refined apple cider vinegar, you are essentially purchasing dead, useless acid. The true biological miracle lies in that strange, cloudy, cobweb-like substance floating around at the very bottom of the bottle. That murky debris is called the mother. It is not dirt. It is a dense, thriving colony of extremely beneficial living bacteria, essential probiotics, and active enzymes. When you consume the mother, you are actively feeding your gut microbiome with raw, living biology. Emerging research heavily suggests that this unpasteurized acetic acid acts as a potent antimicrobial weapon inside your digestive tract. It specifically targets and brutally kills off the bad bacteria that are slowly destroying your health. If you suffer from small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, commonly known as SIBO, or a systemic candida yeast overgrowth, the acetic acid forcibly creates a hostile internal environment where those pathogens severely struggle to survive. It aggressively sanitizes the entire length of your small intestine, sweeping away the microscopic garbage and dramatically allowing for the optimal absorption of crucial systemic nutrients like calcium and magnesium. However, because this is real science, we must discuss the absolute dangers. You cannot treat apple cider vinegar like tap water. If you drink it straight out of the bottle, undiluted, you are making a catastrophic mistake. Raw, undiluted vinegar has an incredibly aggressive pH of roughly 2.5. If that pure acid touches your teeth, it instantly softens the enamel. And if you make the terrible mistake of brushing your teeth right afterward, you are quite literally brushing your permanent enamel right down the drain. You will rapidly develop severe tooth sensitivity and painful cavities. It can also chemically burn the delicate lining of your esophagus if you are not exceedingly careful. So what exactly is the correct logical protocol? How do you harvest all of these biological benefits without accidentally destroying your body? This is the golden ratio. You mix exactly 1 tablespoon of raw, organic apple cider vinegar that still contains the mother into 8 to 10 ounces of filtered water. And this next step is absolutely critical. You must use a straw. By using a straw, you entirely bypass your teeth and protect your enamel from the acid. Drink this entire mixture precisely 10 to 15 minutes before sitting down to your largest meal of the day. Do not drink it an hour before, and absolutely do not drink it afterward. You specifically need that acid actively waiting inside the stomach before the dense food arrives, fully prepared to shut down the alpha amylase enzymes and drop the pH for the sphincter valve. Let's summarize the ultimate 14-day experiment. If you start doing this exact protocol today, what will you physically notice by the end of 2 weeks? From day 1 to 3, the very first thing you will experience is vastly improved digestion. You will notice significantly less burping, less trapped gas, and none of that awful heaviness sitting in your stomach after a big meal. If you usually suffer from that debilitating afternoon food coma and energy crash, it will likely be entirely gone, because your blood sugar never violently spiked in the first place. Between days 4 and 7, you will likely notice a rapid drop in retained water weight. Just like when you completely cut sugar from your diet, improving your cellular insulin sensitivity naturally forces your kidneys to finally release all of that stubbornly trapped excess sodium. You will physically feel noticeably lighter. By day 14 and beyond, the profound cumulative biological effects truly lock into place. Your morning fasting blood sugar will slowly start trending downward. Your waistline will feel noticeably tighter, simply because you are suddenly spending significantly more hours of your day locked inside a low-insulin, fat-burning metabolic state. But I must give you one final, crucial medical warning. Apple cider vinegar is absolutely not a magic eraser for a fundamentally toxic diet. If you chug a glass of vinegar and then immediately devour a massive box of donuts and a highly processed pizza, the vinegar absolutely cannot save you. It can slightly blunt the spike, but it cannot possibly stop the massive physiological damage caused by an onslaught of pure processed junk food. You must think of apple cider vinegar strictly as a biochemical force multiplier. If you are already eating clean, prioritizing dense protein and fibrous vegetables, the apple cider vinegar multiplies your positive results. It makes your existing good habits work 10 times better. It is a powerful biological tool, not a miraculous cure-all. If you are currently on heavy blood sugar medication or taking prescribed insulin, you must be extremely careful. Because this acid lowers blood sugar so effectively and naturally, combining it with potent medication might suddenly force your blood sugar dangerously low. If you are on these medications, you must monitor your numbers closely and speak to your doctor immediately. Because as your biological machine rapidly heals, you might actually need to lower your prescription dosage. And frankly, that is a fantastic problem to have. So here is your immediate action plan. Go to the store today and buy a bottle of organic raw apple cider vinegar that clearly contains the mother. Start with just 1 single teaspoon mixed into a large glass of water if the taste is simply too overwhelming, and slowly build your way up to a full tablespoon. Add a squeeze of fresh lemon if you desperately need to mask the harsh flavor. Drink it right before your dinner tonight. Pay close attention to exactly how your stomach feels 30 minutes after eating. Do you still feel that painful, familiar bloat? Or do you feel incredibly light and empty? That sensation is your own body clearly telling you that the chemistry is actively working. True, lasting health is not about dumb luck or trendy magic pills. It is about cold, hard biological logic. It is about deeply understanding the incredibly complex machine you live inside every single day. If you found real value in this deep dive, share this video right now with someone who secretly suffers from painful heartburn or struggles with their blood sugar issues. You might just change their entire life. Comment down below, "I am adding the acid," and let me know if you are actually going to try this exact protocol. This is real logic science. Stay curious, stay healthy, and always trust the logic. I will see you in the next video.